At the U.S. Department of the Interior, we have a diverse and important portfolio, one that includes protecting and sharing America's natural resources, wildlife, and heritage, honoring our trust responsibilities to tribal communities and insular areas, supplying water to 17 western states, developing cutting-edge scientific information, and helping power our future. How we fulfill our missions has a huge impact on the health of our economy and communities across the nation, both for current and future generations. As Secretary Jewell put it, we're in the forever business. Over the last 8 years of the Obama administration, we advanced those core interior missions on several fronts. The President's comprehensive climate action plan had Interior playing an important role in taking steady and responsible steps to cut carbon pollution and expand homegrown energy. President Obama called it our moral obligation to the next generation to leave a cleaner, more stable environment. At the Interior Department, we use science to improve our resilience to future storms like Superstorm Sandy and other impacts associated with a warming planet. Through the Clean Power Plan, the President laid out goals to put the nation on the path toward a 30% reduction in greenhouse gas emissions from the power sector by 2030. A key part of the Climate Action Plan includes renewable energy, where we're on track to permit 20 gigawatts of renewable energy by 2020. In a span of 8 years, we approved 60 commercial-scale renewable energy projects on public lands that have the potential to produce 15,500 megawatts, enough to power approximately 5 million homes. The President's clean energy strategy also focused on getting the most out of our domestic sources of oil, gas, and coal, with renewed standards to support safe and responsible hydraulic fracturing and prevent or minimize impacts to surface water and groundwater from coal mining with our stream protection rule. In response to the tragic Deepwater Horizon incident in the Gulf of Mexico in 2010, Interior launched the most aggressive and comprehensive reforms to offshore oil and gas regulation and oversight in U.S. history. This included restructuring to provide independent regulatory agencies that have clear missions to ensure safe and responsible domestic energy development while keeping pace with a rapidly evolving industry. These efforts help ensure that the United States can safely and responsibly expand development of its domestic energy resources. During his administration, President Obama used the Antiquities Act to establish or protect 29 national monuments. Altogether, he protected more than 550 million acres of public lands and waters, more than any other president. Along the way, he preserved sites that help tell the story of both significant people and extraordinary events in American history. Everything from the Cesar Chavez National Monument in California to the Harriet Tubman National Historical Park in Maryland and New York. And he preserved magnificent landscapes from the Oregon Mountains Desert Peaks National Monument in New Mexico to California's Berryessa Snow Mountain National Monument. We set aside lands that are just too special to develop, not only the use of the Antiquities Act, but in the wilderness designation for Point Reyes National Seashore and the President's actions to preserve both Bristol Bay and the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge. In 2016, we celebrated the centennial of America's best idea, the national parks, commemorating the past while charting a path forward for the next generation of stewards of our public lands and waters. One of the top priorities of the Obama administration has been to increase the self-governance and self-determination of the First Americans, Indian tribes, and Alaska Natives. We sought to enhance our government-to-government relationship with tribes and to right the wrongs of centuries past. The White House held a Tribal Nations Conference every year of this administration, bringing together representatives of more than 500 federally recognized tribes. Under the historic Cobell Settlement and Land Buyback Program, tribal land with multiple owners is purchased by the government, then held in trust for the economic benefit of the tribe. To date, more than $1 billion paid out to landowners and nearly 2 million acres of tribal land restored. Interior has committed to transform and improve the quality of education students receive at tribal schools funded by the Bureau of Indian Education. And the President has launched Generation Indigenous, or Gen I, to strip away the barriers between Native youth and the chance to succeed. The First Lady addressed the first ever Native American Youth Summit, an inspiring day for the youth that attended. The administration and Interior launched a major initiative to encourage all young people to play, learn, serve, and work outdoors, and help form the backbone of the next generation of outdoor stewards. Part of that initiative, a groundbreaking public-private partnership with a range of companies, from American Eagle Outfitters to Coca-Cola, The North Face, and American Express. Secretary Jewell set a fundraising goal of $20 million to support the 21st Century Conservation Service Corps, a national collaboration of young people and veterans working on the restoration, protection, and enhancement of the nation's public lands and resources. Another part of the effort to engage young people in the outdoors, the 50 Cities Initiative, where Interior breathed life into the First Lady's Let's Move Outside program, developing or enhancing outdoor recreation partnerships coast to coast. That'll create new outdoor recreation opportunities for 10 million young people. And Interior played a key role in the administration's effort to get every kid in a park, a program that allows all fourth graders and their families free access to public lands nationwide for the next school year and beyond. Over the last 8 years, Interior has been helping to lead the charge on any one of a dozen important fronts: the federal response to Superstorm Sandy and the preparations to withstand the next storm. We're deeply involved in maintaining and enhancing the reliable supply of water, especially as western states and tribal lands remain locked in an epic drought. Water is our most precious resource, and our Water Smart program helps us plan for the future and stretch every drop. We charted strategies to develop a cohesive wildland fire management plan and reduce the increasing risk to many communities. Landsat 8 was launched in conjunction with NASA in February 2013 to maintain scientific observations of our changing Earth. We're also in the fight against illegal wildlife trafficking that threatens so many species. We are celebrating when once endangered species battle back to health. We're working at a landscape level to preserve ecosystems, including the sagebrush landscapes and rangelands that provide habitat for the greater sage grouse and other important species. And we've marked the 50th anniversaries of both the Land and Water Conservation Fund and the Wilderness Act as we look ahead to the next 50 years.